better watch out if you ignite me's a road ahead, a full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day, leave the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows me, and he gets claws real big, pissed off quick. And if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling this war, never getting bored, loves the blood and gore, always wanting more, feeding from the source. They don't really understand until they feel the force of it. If you start shit, you'll be heartless in the darkness, torn apart quick. You left scars ripped, you'll be chewed up and discarded. And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate.
And welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast with your hosts, Matt and D Rose.
And yes, we are back here on a Wednesday with your boys. My name is Matt. D Rose is on that side of your screen, and this is the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast. I am freshly, a couple of days back from UFC Atlantic City. What a trip that was. I hope you guys enjoyed that vlog. It was a blast. Had fun while I was up there. But me and D Rose are here to recap these past weekend's fights. I've watched the fights in the arena, and then I went back and watched them on the TV now. We've got some UFC fight news and announcements to cover. D Rose got to eat some beans. But and then lastly, me and D Rose will give you our preview and our picks for this weekend's UFC Vegas 90. Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis. Number 2, dude. Number 2. I know that's your favorite thing to say. D Rose just now finishing up his dinner. But but before we get into that, let's shout out the chat real quick, and then I'll see how D Rose has been while he's getting cleaned up over there. Another Golden Wednesdays with the boys. Hopefully D Rose got a bad bean so we can officially say Bean Gate is over. We got the chat hoping for you to get bad beans.
Well, and it's like you're hoping for bad beans after I've already had bad beans. Like I just had dirty dishwater last week. I mean, what are we doing here? Why are we wishing bad on the boy?
I feel like we got bad beans incoming. Got the Cody glove today, Lush. Thanks, bro, and thanks to Matt for sending it my way. And I see D Rose's is double stacked in the thing behind you, right?
Yes. I got the Nick Diaz glove and the Cody Garbrandt glove because I thought that an 8-inch frame was going to be able to fit that, and I was completely wrong.
We got Dave Fish for Days saying, "Let's go." We got Jubadiah in here. Your boy just got his phone fulfilled hobby boxes today. Let's go. That's what's up, brother. And we got Randy Poppy in here. What's up, boys? What's going on, Randy? Appreciate you stopping by tonight, brother. And we got Riley. What up? What up? Appreciate you stopping by, Riley. And Randy saying D Rose and Matt. What's up, y'all? We appreciate all y'all for stopping by. Thank you all for hanging out with us here tonight. So, D Rose, without any further ado, this is probably going to be a grip of a show, but we got to talk about what kind of I don't even know how to say it, dude. This past weekend, I can't even blame the fighters for losing my bets this past weekend. What I have to blame from this past weekend is this. This guy is who I have to blame for my bets losing this past weekend, dude. This guy, Gary Copeland, you are a terrible referee. Stopping things early, dude. I swore he had to have bet on Kyle Nelson, dude. But hey, let's get into it real quick. UFC Atlantic City recap started off with Angel Pacheco versus Colin Loughran. That fight kind of went how I thought it was going to. Round 1 kind of close, and then Colin Loughran just kind of took over, did what he should have to Angel Pacheco. This is where the craziness of the night started, D Rose. At the second fight of the night, Andre Petrovsky versus Jacob Malkoun, dude. Andre Petrovsky goes in for a takedown, headbutts himself on Jacob Malkoun's hip, and knocks himself out. Jacob Malkoun's parading around the octagon like he knocked out Andre Petrovsky. He just I mean, I guess you landed a body kick, but that wasn't what like made him fall or anything like that. So that was an interesting fight. I did have Jacob Malkoun in that fight, but I did have him winning 3 or decision, or that fight going over a round and a half. So that pretty much took a dump on a whole bunch of my bets. Ibo Aslan versus Anton Turkalj, dude. This is one of the ones I thought maybe could have been stopped a little bit early because once again, I just thought Anton Turkalj was, still kind of in the game. He was out, but there were no follow-up shots. He fell down, but I mean, Ibo was dog-ass tired. So, would he have probably finished him? Doubt it. So that one was probably stopped a little bit early. I actually went to the bathroom, and the lines at the Boardwalk Hall Arena for a bathroom and a drink, dude, you were missing 2 rounds of any fight. So I missed the entire Dennis Bazooka versus Connor Matthews fight, but I was able to see it on the little screen, and I went back and watched it. And, Dennis Bazooka looked fantastic, dude. Kind of stumping the UFC newcomer Connor Matthews. Looked good there. And I feel like an idiot, D-Rose, for not taking a mortgage out on my house and putting it on Julio Arce round 2, because I feel like we all knew that was coming, and I didn't bet it, and I said it all week, dude, and I didn't bet it. I feel like an idiot for that. What kind of personally broke my heart a ton was the Lupi Godinez fight. I went back and I watched that fight, and even still, I thought Lupi won that fight. So, I mean, the judges, but Lupi doesn't make the best decisions in grappling scenarios. And, I said that last week on the pod, dude. I was like, her IQ when it comes to what she should be doing isn't really there. I feel like she almost knocked out Verna in the first round, dude. She was thumping up Verna in the first, and then round 2 and 3, she's like, yeah, let's grapple. I'm like, what are we doing here? But yeah, I don't feel good about that. Nate, the Train in the UFC, baby. Let's go, Nate, the Train, dude. He gets hurt early round 1, dropped, and just like every Nate the Train laneware fight, dude, if you don't finish him when you hurt him, dude, good fucking luck with the rest of this fight, dude. He's coming for your head. And the pretty boy, Jamal Emmers, got absolutely mopped soon after in the first round as well. Chidi and Jaquani versus Reese McKee, dude. I know you have some things to say about this fight, so I'll wait on that one, dude. Kyle Nelson, Bill Algeo. This is one of the ones that Gary Copeland stopped way too soon. Bill Algeo was on his feet calling on Kyle Nelson, and then Gary Copeland stops in. It's like, no more. I'm like, what just happened? He just stopped it on the feet while he's calling him on. That was dumb as well.
I will say he was getting clobbered though before he stopped it. When he was waving him on, yeah, he was getting clobbered a couple times. So hey, I get that he's upset, but I mean, you got to stop getting punched in the face as hard as Kyle Nelson was hitting him too. So I wasn't as upset about that one.
Yeah, so that one ruined a bunch of bets for me because I did have Bill Algeo 3 decision in that, and he didn't even win. Yeah, and then the eye poke start, dude. Nursultan Rizaboev eye pokes Adriquez Dumas and then knocks him out. That's fine. That should have happened. I guess nothing got changed there. And then the next one, dude. Way, yeah, I mean, like how do I say? Like it got called like a knockout. And then the second one was the Chris Weidman Bruno Silva fight, dude. They're both eye poking like each other like multiple times, dude. But when Bruno Silva gets eye poked, he like curls up into a ball and falls to the ground. And I fully get what Chris Weidman was saying. Like, hey man, if you get poked in the eye, you can't act like that because like no one knows, anyone could have thought it was a punch, dude. But in the replay, Chris Weidman poked Bruno Silva in both eyes, and then Bruno Silva fell down, and Chris Weidman just unloaded him. And in the vlog, it's so funny. I have him poking Bruno Silva in the eyes in the replay, and then him just with the American flag just running around the octagon. It looks so crazy, dude. But it's kind of hilarious. Co-main event, dude. Broke my heart, dude, because Vicente Luque shot in for a takedown, then pulled guard, had his feet on the hips of Joaquin Buckley, could have pushed him off, dude, but just turtled up and just stayed there, dude. I'm worried now that Vicente Luque is done and he's scared to take damage. So I don't know, man. I already missed the old Vicente Luque, but I don't even think he's 30 yet. So it's just kind of crazy to see that go. And the highlight of my night was being right after all this time, picking against Erin Blanchfield all the times that she's been fighting, dude. I don't know if I've ever picked Erin Blanchfield. Maybe, hell, I may have even picked Molly McCann to be Erin Blanchfield, dude. I just feel like in every Erin Blanchfield fight, I'm like, no, her striking is not good, dude. She runs in like a zombie and just hopes to crash in and grab someone so she can end up on the ground, dude. And in this fight this past weekend, it was very apparent that Manon wasn't having any of that, dude. Manon took Erin down early in the first round like a complete idiot, almost got guillotined. I'm like, no, what just happened? Why did you do that? But then the rest of the fight, dude, just clean out striking Erin. Like Erin couldn't even get close for the most part. Bloodied Erin up at the end of the fourth or fifth, dude. I'm not sure, but Erin, dude, I don't know if what could happen, dude, because the size difference was absolutely crazy, dude. But in the cage, it looked like Erin can maybe go down to 115. She maybe had a little extra weight on her. I'm not saying she's like fat, like, or anything like that, but it's like just the muscle definition wasn't there compared to Manon, that was also way taller as well. So I don't know if she needs to put on some size or drop down to 115, but I think, when she kind of fights these big girls, that might be the issue that Erin Blanchfield has. But Manon Fior wins 50-45 over Erin Blanchfield this weekend, and that means that D Rose has to eat some beans this week, D Rose. But with that being said, I'm gonna pass it to you. What do you have to say about this past weekend? Because I went through the whole card, what I thought about it, and I feel like anything you want to say, go for it, brother.
Just in terms of the main event, obviously, I picked Erin Blanchfield, and I did expect her to win, but I didn't expect Manon Fiorot to dominate the way that she did. I expected it to be a close fight, and I expected Manon to obviously not get railroaded by any chance, but she did her thing, man, and she completely shut out Erin Blanchfield. Now, I did think that I guess, and I watched your fight vlog, and I watched the dude that you asked at the end of the fight. He said
hammered.
He definitely was, but he was tore the hell up. But I'll say he did make a good point to say, hey, man, it just didn't really do a lot, and that was my biggest thing. In that fight, it just seemed like Manon, after she ended up getting almost guillotined, she just kind of like took her foot off the gas. And once she knew that she can kind of keep range and Erin Blanchfield couldn't take her down at will, she just kind of just stayed in range. And it almost reminded me of like the Cyril Gane and Jairzinho Rosenstrike fight where Cyril Gane's just keeping it on the outside just with pop shots while Blanchfield just can't really get off too much. And I do agree with you with the size-wise, but yeah, the size just absolutely crazy. It looked like Blanchfield could have been fighting at 35, or Manon could have been fighting at 35, and Blanchfield could have been fighting at 115. So, I do agree with you in terms of size there. So that was tough. And for Vicente Luque, man, I did think Buckley was going to win, and I did pick him by knockout. And he's
the one that saved you from the clean sweep this week.
yeah, and I was and not thinking it was going to happen like that, but typically somebody that's a little bit more athletic that has some punching power does give Vicente Luque a little bit of an issue. The thing that concerns me about Luque is that he actually didn't look bad in the fight. Like, he wasn't as aggressive as he normally is, but I think we could pretty easily say that Vicente Luque won that first round. I thought he landed more shots. I mean, Buckley wasn't really able to land that clean. Buckley kept doing his blitzes, and Luque was staying out the way, but it looked like once he pulled guard and missed on that takedown and Buckley started raining down bombs, Luque was just like, shit.
And if like you just watch, it's like a lot of them were just hitting his arms and shit, dude. I'm like,
yeah,
dude, your feet are on his hips. Push off, Luque. Like,
yeah, there were a few that got through pretty clean, but it looked like as soon as he got hit with like one that was clean, he just didn't win anymore, and that was just that was rough to watch. Knowing the blood and guts warrior that he's been his whole career, to see him kind of wilt like that, that was tough to watch. But good win for Buckley, and I won't run through the rest of the card, but the only thing I really had to say about Reese McKee and Chitty was that obviously pick Chitty. I'm not going to pick Reese McKee in a fight by any means.
I thought that was for some reason I thought you had picked Reese McKee because you said that you weren't betting Chitty. So I think I got confused that you picked Reese McKee. But
right,
I thought Chitty winning clean sweep and then I had to actually talk to you, and then you're like, no, I picked Buckley versus Luque. And I'm like, that is what it was. So yeah. But
I'm not that dumb to pick Reese McKee to win a fight in the UFC at all. But the thing that was stupid was that, dude, in the first round, he's actually having success and landing them 1-2. And there was a couple of times where he hit Chitty clean, and Chitty almost looked like he was rocked. And I was like, oh my gosh, because I did end up doing a parlay with Chitty. I got my ass busted in betting this weekend, so none of my bets hit. But I did have Chitty in a parlay, and that parlay was alive at that point. So Reese McKee's landing these shots, and I'm like, dude, is he really about to get Chitty out of here? And I'm about to lose another Chitty and Jaquani bet. And but he started going for the takedowns, and it was like, dude, you're faster, and he's probably, I don't want to say the better athlete. I know Chitty's been doing this for a little bit, but Reese McKee looked solid in that first round. And then he ended up getting stuck in wrestler mode and ended up losing the fight because of it. And it was just really irritating to watch. I know you and others in the crowd ended up letting Reese McKee know that he was fighting like an idiot and was ruining the night for everybody. But that was really irritating to watch.
Yeah, dude. I guess the other highlight of being there is able to go back in like certain times, like the camera pans up just a little bit, and I had my oil them up shirt on, so I'm able to be like, there I am, like right in the crowd. I was like, because I wasn't like too high, and like occasionally you could like see me. So that was pretty funny. But I had a good time, dude. I had a good time. So
with the dips and motions, I will say, like with Weidman, the one thing with Weidman, I love that the crowd was popping for him. But as you said, it is kind of crazy that he hit him with the combo eye poke, and then he's walking around outside the cage, jumping the fence and, waving the American flag and stuff like that. It's a crazy contrast. And I hate it for Chris Weidman because, I mean, if I'm being honest, like, dude, he actually fought really well. And it should have been a no contest. I'm just being honest. But in terms of them making the technical decision, he rightfully won the fight in terms of technical decision because he did win the first 2 rounds because I just thought Bruno Silva wasn't doing enough during that fight. But with the dips and emotions with Weidman and the Ruzaboyev eye poke and all the Malkoon result and all that stuff, by the time the main event started, was the energy drained out of the arena a little bit?
Dude, I think I saw maybe by the second round of the main event, people were just kind of starting to leave. They're like, oh, like, we see how this is going. Like, did this ain't going the way we thought it to. And the arena kind of started to clear out after like the second round of the main event, dude. It was, people just started to peace out. What's going on, Daniel? Appreciate you stopping by tonight, brother. Yeah. But with that being said, D-Rose, let's get into some bean eating. Our 3 different picks this past weekend were the main event, Aaron Blanchfield versus Manon Fior, where I did go Manon Fior and you did go Aaron Blanchfield. Our second different pick that I was incorrect on was Vicente Luque versus I almost said Chidi again. Vicente Luque versus Joaquin Buckley, where I picked Vicente Luque and D Rose picked Joaquin Buckley. And our third different pick was Nate the Train in the UFC, baby, versus Jamal Pretty Boy Emmers, where once again Nate the Train steamrolls D Rose. You got to start picking Nate the Train, D Rose. And before you get into your bean eating, how blessed are we, D Rose, to get Nate the Train Landwehr back to back with Trevor Peak, baby. Trevor Peak fights this week. So we get Nate the Train and Trevor Peak. Tennessee, stand up, baby. We got some fighters coming from y'all's neck of the woods these past few weeks and upcoming. So, D-Rose, the floor is yours, brother. Which beans are you going to eat this week?
Damn, Nate the Train ended up burning me again, dude. I don't get it at this point. Oh man. All right, so we got the yellow one. So it's either going to be a rotten egg
or butter popcorn.
All right, so we're going to test this one out here and see.
Be the rotten egg, please. Be the rotten egg. Nah, that's in his mouth too long. I don't think
well,
the
other
one's
butter popcorn.
Yeah,
it's not good either, though.
Yeah, that's the one that I had before. That one's
not good either. Like, I mean, it's supposed to be the alternate flavor, but it's still nasty. Like,
yeah,
that's not good. Like, what? Whoever was coming up with the concept of like, yeah, let's do a butter flavored jelly bean. Like, that's an awful idea. Let me tell you that now.
It's like the what was the other one that's not good? I think a toasted marshmallow is also not good. It's like, what's the point in that one?
Oh my gosh, yes. Dude, that might be worse than no, it's not worse than dirty dishwater. But, I mean, that is the worst of the good beans. Like 1000% the worst of the good beans. But this time, gosh, I'm hoping it's Tutti Frutti.
Because if not, it is Stinky Socks.
I'm hoping it's because Tutti Frutti is actually good. So I'm
that one was
Tutti Frutti.
Wasn't bad.
Stinky
Socks, Stinky Socks, Stinky Socks, Stinky Socks, Stinky Socks. He's been chewing on it too long. I feel like, damn, man. Fuck.
Let's go.
Two good beans. Beangate is still a thing, D-Rose. Let them have it, Chad. Let them have it, Chad.
Let's go. Hey, I've eaten them the last couple of weeks. So the thing that sucks is that they get stuck in your teeth. Hey, I'll take it, though. I'll take a good flavor because, to be honest, that butter popcorn was supposed to be something. But, I mean, that was... Honestly, that's just as bad as a bad one. Let's be honest.
Jelly beans, period, are nasty. Daniel doesn't even like jelly beans.
You ain't lying. Like these particularly because they get stuck to your teeth. But there's one or two flavors that you can dig out every now and then that are pretty solid.
All right. So, with that being said, D-Rose, just like it happens every single week, we are going to move on to our UFC news and fight announcements with you having jelly beans stuck in your teeth. And, dude, I feel like every single week this happens, dude. We get off the podcast, and then Dana White pops up on his Instagram. It's like, I got some fight announcements for y'all. And, dude.
It's Dana White from the UFC Apex headquarters. It's
right.
like, oh, you big ugly bastard! Don't do this shit now.
Like you couldn't have done this 2 hours ago, dude. Right before we got on the podcast, was talking about the news. So last week, dude, after the podcast, main event for UFC Saudi Arabia, dude, is the Reaper Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Borz Chimaev, dude. June 22nd. What's your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, that should be an awesome fight. Man, I'm interested to see for Khamzat finally being in a 5-round fight. And against obviously one of the best 185ers that there's been, man. Even though he didn't hold the belt for a long time, but Robert's, notoriously known as one of the best 185ers that's ever fought in the UFC. So it's a good test for Khamzat. And, I'm curious to see what it's like if he's not able to get Rob out within the first 2 rounds. How are those last couple rounds going to go for him? And I'm curious to see if Rob can kind of defend those takedowns consistently. Because I will say, he might not have expected to take down Fadrikas, but Fadrikas took him down pretty easily with that head toss. So I'm curious to see how his wrestling defense holds up against Khamzat.
Yeah, he has to know it's coming, dude, because that's what Hamzat does. That's for sure going to be an interesting one. Though June 22nd, dude. Also, same card, dude. I guess we said last week that it was going to be Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Pavlovich, or
Volkov.
like versus Volkov, but it looks like Pavlovich versus Volkov happening on that same card now. But I hear that they don't want to fight each other because they train together. So I'm not sure this fight actually happens, dude.
Yes, that's weird that they would announce it like that, considering that they train together, and I mean that's not outside the UFC to announce a fight. Before the fighters have actually agreed to it, but I thought Alexander Volkov versus Jailton was the fight, and now it's Sergey Pavlovich. Who knows what they're doing with Volkov at this point?
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Here we go. I guess D-Rod back in the UFC, dude. Going to be fighting June 22nd, Saudi Arabia as well against Kelvin Gastelum. What's your thoughts on that?
Good fight, and yeah, I was surprised to, as you said, D-Rod back in the UFC. I saw where they, released him, and I know he had a drug suspension after the Ian Gary fight, and it wasn't for like weed or anything. It was for, I think it was a tainted supplement he had stated, but yeah, I know he tested positive for a drug test. He got released, so surprised to see him back. But D-Rod always puts on a fun fight, and it's always fun to see Gastelum in there. He always brings the war himself, so that should be a good fight.
Hell yeah, dude. Down at 170 still too, so I would like to see Kelvin stay at 170. Yeah. Here we go, dude. Johnny Walker versus Volkan Oezdemir. Saudi Arabia. Dude, Saudi Arabia is going to be a good card, yeah?
Yeah, it should be. I mean, I know, I think, hearing a lot of news saying that, they had tried to put Taito Iwasa versus Marcin Tybura as the main event there, and they were like, yeah, we're not paying you guys all this money to come here and bring us what would be an Apex main event. You're going to bring a big card, and yeah, they're bringing it big time, but man, hadn't seen Volkan Oezdemir in a while, so yeah, surprised to see him back. Honestly, I was wondering if he had gotten cut, because I was like, man, we haven't seen Oezdemir fight in a while, but good to see him back, and actually a pretty good matchup against Johnny Walker.
I'll be interested in that fight. Here we go, dude. Also on the Saudi Arabia card, dude, we got the same person fighting the same person, dude. We got Shara Bullet and Magomedov.
One has two. That's the difference.
Yeah, we got Shara Bullet and Magomedov fighting Ihor Prateria, dude. What's your thoughts on this fight?
That should be a solid fight. I thought Ihor looked pretty good going down to 185 in his last fight, and I can't remember the guy that he fought, but I remember he had him, a couple of different instances where he had him hurt, and yeah, he looked solid at 185, and Shara Bullet, he looked really good against Bruno Silva in his first fight. I think it was on the Abu Dhabi card last year. Yeah, he looked good in his debut against Bruno, but yeah, this should be a good fight.
I'll be excited for that one, dude. Anyway, probably back to an Apex card. We got Taylor Lapilus taking on is Cody Stamann? I thought he was cut from the UFC. It looks like Cody Stamann might be back in the UFC, dude. Taking on Taylor Lapilus, but I mean, not a good fight for him, to be honest.
No, it's not. It seems like a lot of times they end up using Cody Stamann as like this type of like it basically is like a gatekeeper. He's this bar for like, man, Cody Stamann's tough. If you can beat him, you're going somewhere. So I think that's almost kind of the intended purpose for this matchup. Is it at featherweight?
Taylor Lapilus bantamweight.
Okay, I was about to say I thought it was bantamweight, but for some reason I thought I saw F there, but I guess my vision's going bad.
Yeah, dude. Brad Cantone, Jesse Butler. I don't care about that one. Getting to the results. Here we go. We got Derek Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. Going to be the main event for St. Louis, dude. So, if funds, so decide they would like to let me go, I wouldn't mind attending UFC St. Louis. But that's one of the ones that going to have flights and hotels. It's not as easy as just driving there. So, yeah. You might see another vlog for St. Louis. What's your thoughts on this fight, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's a random main event, especially for St. Louis, because you're like, you're looking for the tie. And maybe Rodrigo Nascimento does have some ties there, but I wouldn't think so. So yeah, just a weird main event. And maybe Joaquin Buckley is right. He keeps saying he wants to get on this card, and he keeps saying he's gonna main event it. And hell, at this point, I mean, he very well could, because there's enough time to make that adjustment. And yeah, this, as much as I love Derek Lewis, this just doesn't really seem main event worthy. So yeah, I could see Joaquin Buckley maybe supplanting Derek Lewis for the main event.
All right. Interesting. Getting to the results from this past weekend, Colin Rockran doing his thing. That's Jacob Malkoon acting like he did something. There's Ebo just landing one on the Pleasure Man. He looks very pleasured by it. This Dennis Bazooka knocking out Jake Matthews. Yeah, I feel like an idiot for not betting Julio Arce round 2. That robbery of a decision, in my opinion. Nate the Train in the UFC, baby. Chidi with a spinning back elbow at the last second of the third round, I believe. Kyle Nelson knocking out Bill Algier, and they hid the referee from us there because they don't want to showcase him. Do you see?
Yeah, but that dude
look
was
at
on,
this
like,
comment from
fight.
Deanna Belbita. Great stoppage. No. Look, everyone, I agree with the stoppage. What? What are y'all talking about? Get out of here. He's calling him on.
It was not. Yeah, he was calling him on as he was getting his ass kicked. That was not. And it was a bad night of reffing. And believe me, Bill Algier busted my ass in terms of all my bets. But yeah, I can't say that was a bad stoppage.
Yeah. Then the reservoir of eye poke / knockout. Anyway, we have Phil Rowe versus Jake Matthews added to 302 UFC June 1st. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
That should be a good fight. Yeah, I mean, Jake Matthews, Phil Rowe. Yeah, that enough said. Good fight.
All right. Chris Weidman. Yeah, buddy, look at him. He won, baby. This one, dude.
Combo.
Dude, look at the feet on the hips. Ready? He could push off, dude, but he just didn't. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, and then that's how that fight looked, dude. Just Aaron Blanchfield couldn't even get close to Manon Fury for the most part. Anyway, Manel Cap is out per usual, dude. Matthias Nicolau will now face Alex Perez, UFC Vegas 91. So not next week, because next week's UFC 300, but the week after that, dude, April 27th, Matthias Nicolau versus Alex Perez. Is this 2?
No, I thought 2 was Nicolau and Perez, or Nicolau and Cop.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, and no, the April 27th, that's 2 weeks, right? Because next week's the 13th, and then the 27th, so that's 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks away. My bad. We got Chaos Williams going to be taking on Carlston Harris, dude. That's an interesting fight. UFC Vegas 92, May 18th.
Yeah, and I felt like, again, another fighter we hadn't seen in a while, Chaos. Yeah, another dude we hadn't seen in a while. He normally puts up a fun fight. I know he fought Orlando Bedoya in his last fight, right? And I know that fight was a little bit closer than what people wanted it to be. And Chaos Williams almost lost me some bets, but he looked solid in that fight. So, and Carlston Harris is a good matchup too, so should be a good fight.
Yeah, he fought Jeremiah Wells and choked him out in Nashville, dude. I remember that. Anyway,
because he busted a couple of my bets on that too. So.
Yeah, we got a banger here. Thiago Moises taking on Ludovic Klein, UFC's June 18th or June 8th card. What do you think about that?
That's a banger of a fight, and both of them are going to be completely stacked as far as muscles too, because both of those dudes' muscle definition is crazy.
Yeah, and one that I don't see, but I've been seeing everywhere today, dude, is UFC 305 is going to be headlining Perth, I believe, and it's going to be Izzy versus Dricus. I'm surprised that ain't even on there, but I believe that's what's happening, dude. Izzy versus Dricus, UFC Perth. What's your thoughts on that? If indeed it is true?
I think it's rumored right now from what I was reading. I don't know if the UFC has officially announced anything yet. I'm sure that's probably the plan. But as far as anything, I don't think the UFC said anything just yet. But in terms of the fight itself, I mean, it should be a really good fight. But I'm actually surprised that they're willing to put Izzy in there in the title fight. Of course, I don't mind seeing him in another title fight. And, that was kind of the fight that should have happened anyway. It's just that Sean Strickland basically ended up getting the opportunity because Izzy wanted to go ahead and stay busy.
You're an animal, Riley.
And that's oh gosh.
Goodness.
That's brutal.
I'm gonna have to stop popping these up on the screen. Y'all gonna get us banned.
Yeah, brutal, dude. But yeah, it should be an awesome fight though, because that was the fight that should have happened before Sean Strickland kind of stepped in and ruined everything. So, and I'm surprised to see Drekus might be willing to go over and give Izzy home field, but who knows? The crowd could turn on him as they ended up turning for Sean Strickland against Izzy last time. So, but it should be an awesome fight when it happens.
And I'm glad Lush actually brought this up. Did you see how upset Sean Strickland is? What I could have swore he was like, I don't care about the bet. It broke and I duct taped it. I don't care. And then now all of a sudden he cares. I don't know, man. For someone that doesn't care, you seem to care a whole lot now, Sean Strickland.
Yeah, and from what it looks like, I guess he's just really upset because he's ended up getting he felt like he won and ended up getting the loss, and he said, is he getting multiple title fights? He got a rematch after getting beat by Alex and blah blah blah. I should get my rematch. The difference is
you didn't even defend it one time.
Yeah, you haven't had the long history of defenses like Izzy had to build up the resume. So yeah, I would understand why Izzy would be more inclined to get a rematch over you. And yeah, at this point, I think if Sean Strickland fights one fight and wins, then you could potentially, depending on who he beats, you can make the argument that he could be thrown right back in there. But I think with him not having the long resume like some of the decorated champs at 185 have been, he's not going to get that immediate shot. I'm sorry, it's just not happening.
Yeah, indeed, dude. I agree. So that is all the UFC fight news and announcements that we have to go over. So let's get into what you guys are here for. UFC Vegas 90. Brendan Allen taking on the Action Man, Chris Curtis. Number 2, D Rose. Brendan Allen got the fight that he's been won this rematch ever since the last time that they fought when he got knocked out, dude. He's been calling for Chris Curtis, and he was scheduled against Marvin Vettori, but Marvin Vettori falls out. None other than Action Man Chris Curtis steps up on late notice to give Brendan Allen what he has been asking for. What's your thoughts on that while I'm getting the fight card pulled up, T-Rose?
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in the first fight, didn't Chris Curtis also take that fight on short notice? It was
probably.
I believe that it was short notice as well that he actually stepped in on. So this could be 2 different opportunities to where Chris Curtis could potentially jump in and play spoiler against Brendan Allen. I mean, you'd hate to see it for Brendan Allen, but man, that would be something if Chris Curtis could pull it off. And I think even though the Vettori fight pushed Brendan Allen more, I think this fight is more interesting just knowing that they had the past history of one another.
Indeed. I fully agree, man. So without any further ado, let's get into it. UFC Fight Night, Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis 2, taking place this Saturday, April 6th, 2024 at 3 p.m. East Coast time is when the prelim starts. So we got kind of an early fight night this Saturday. I don't mind. It is going to be taking place at the Apex, and we do have 13 fights. And in the main event, we have All In Brendan Allen taking on Chris, the Action Man Curtis. In our co-main event, holy smokes, this is a terrible co-main event, dude. We've got Alexander, the Great Ape Hernandez, taking on Damon Action Jackson. Our feature fight of the night, we have the Last Pirate, Morgan Charrier, taking on Chepe Mariscal, or Theros, what is?
Mariscal.
But he has
Modest
another name. He has another name. I forgot what it is. Anyway,
his
we have
nickname. Yeah, you're the nickname dude. That's not my territory.
Machine Gun Chepe Mariscal. I believe that's what it is. Anyway, we have Ignacio Bahamundes taking on Christos Giagos. We have Lucas Dretsky taking on the little brother, but heavyweight brother of Johnny Walker. We have Walter Walker, dude. It is
Walker.
Trevor Peak Fight Week, baby. I got my shirt on. I can smell fear as easy as I can smell barbecue. Let's go. Trevor Peak, he is going to be taking on Charlie Campbell this weekend. Me and D Rose will be picking different on that fight. We do have Court McGee versus the Great White, Alex Morono. We have the CDL driver herself, Norma Dumont, taking on the returning Jermaine GDR Durandamy, dude. Haven't seen her in about 4 years. The last time she was mentioned on this podcast was by you, dude. And it was back when we weren't even going live. It started off the podcast there was something that I wanted to say about the podcast. And you go, oh, I know what it was. I'm like, what? You're like, Jermaine Durandamy's pregnant. And that's how the podcast started. That's the last time she was mentioned on this show. But yeah, she's fighting this weekend. We do have Pedro Feliciao. I don't know, one of the two. He is going to be taking on Victor Striker Hugo. That is for sure a grappler. I don't know why his name's Striker. Anyway, we have the return of Cynthia Calvillo. Let me wash my mouth this time. She is going to be taking on Pierre Rodriguez. We have Gene Matsumoto taking on Dan, the Determined Argueta. And then we have the Mindless Hulk, Dylan Budka, taking on the guy that beat Alex Pereira 2 times in kickboxing, Cesar Almeida, dude. So that's where we're going to start. Actually, just kidding. We have another fight. Melissa Tanya Mullins taking on Nora Cornhole or Cornoli. That is the first fight of the night. Anyway, what's your thoughts on the fight card as a whole, D-Rose? All these fights we got.
That the UFC is really making us earn UFC 300. Like, they are making us earn our stars and stripes. So if you're a fight fan, you're going to have to sludge in some mess before we give you the good stuff. You know what I mean? We can't give you the good batch every time, but that's the stuff that keeps you coming back. And this is the stuff that kind of keeps you around. And yeah, that as good as I can say it.
Here we go. Riley the pick. Okay, then Nick T. Right. All right, that's just Lush. And Lush, don't you dare say that.
Dude, I know you're a Jackson fan, man.
Andrew doesn't know who half the fighters are. Literally making us earn 300 fast few cards. All right, Lush is ready. So we will start here at the first fight of the night, D-Rose. We have Melissa Tanya Mullins, or No Mess Melissa Mullins. She is going to be taking on Nora Wonder Cornell, dude. The last time we saw Melissa Mullins, I believe she was Melissa Dixon. And D-Rose, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Did me and you both pick Alex Siva versus Melissa Dixon? And then she just gassed and just looked like shit the whole rest of the fight? Because this is the same chick. She either got married or got divorced. She fought Irina Alexeyeva last, and that's the same fight that happened, dude. So going back, yeah, dude, 5 months ago, she did beat Irina Alexeyeva, the Russian Ronda, if you will. So I'm assuming that's why she is a huge favorite over Nora Cornell. That the last time we saw her fight was 6 months ago against Jocelyn Edwards, and Jocelyn Edwards was, I don't want to say she got robbed that decision, but yeah, I feel like Jocelyn Edwards won that fight, and Jocelyn Edwards was taking down Nora Cornhole quite a bit. She is a French kickboxer, so you know her wrestling isn't the best. Anyway, 6-0 for No Mess Melissa Mullins, and Nora Cornell is 7-1. Melissa Mullins, 32 years old, 5'7", 68-inch reach, while Nora Cornell is 34 years old, 5'7", and a 67-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight are
Thought I was going to have it ready. I didn't. Currently, odds for this fight are plus 250 for Nora Cornhole and minus 340 for Melissa Mullins. Yeah, give me Melissa Mullins to win this fight via decision, D-Rose. I'm going to not go into detail anymore. She's just going to pretty much wrestle Nora Cornhole to a decision. That's the way I'm going. What's your thoughts on this one, man?
Yeah, you pretty much took the words out of my mouth. I love a good game of cornhole every now and then as well. Nice little family get together. Throw down a couple of alcoholic beverages and go out there and play some cornhole, man. That's one of my favorite games. But yeah, let's go Melissa Mullins here. Let's go by decision.
All right. So D Rose and myself are both on the favorite. That is Melissa Mullins minus 340. Not much else to say. So moving on to the next fight. That is Cesar Almeida taking on the mindless Hulk, Dylan Budka. Anyway, so Dylan Budka is 7-2 overall. We last saw him on the Contender Series against Chad Honeycomb when he kind of got beat up the first round, and then Chad Honeycomb ran away the last two rounds and ended up losing that fight. But, Dylan Budka has very, very solid wrestling. Anyway, on the other hand, he's going to be taking on Cesar Sanis. I don't know, dude. I'm not Brazilian. I can't speak Portuguese. Anyway, Cesar Almeida is 4-0, D-Rose. Currently, odds for this are a plus 126 for Cesar Almeida and minus 162 for Dylan Budka. I saw Dylan Budka plus money earlier in the week, though, D-Rose. So that line has for sure flipped. Dylan Budka, 24 years old, 6 foot, and a 75-inch reach, while Cesar Almeida is 36 years old, 6'1", and a 74-inch reach. But don't forget that he did beat Alex Pereira 2 times in Glory Kickboxing. Give me Mindless Hulk once again to wrestle out a decision over the guy that beat Alex Pereira, Cesar Almeida. So the slight favorite, or almost 2-1 favorite at this point, minus 162. Give me Dylan Budka to win this fight via decision, D-Rose. Which way are you going here?
Ooh, I didn't realize the difference in age.
That's because he's been a Glory Kickboxer for the past 20 years.
Right. Yeah. No. So I guess I just didn't realize that Dylan Budka was so young. So 24 versus 36. Because I'm not going to lie, I was going to say I do like that kickboxing experience. I know Budka's a little bit more well-rounded. So and he averages 2 takedowns a fight. Gosh, I'm not going to lie. I want to go Cesar Almeida. You know what? Since I get to decide on what's going to be in the pick champ for night, we'll get to decide on at the end of the night which fights go in, man. Because as you said, Dylan Budka kind of got pieced up a little bit in that first round before he turned around in this Contender Series fight. Don't play around with these kickboxers like that, man, because they'll snipe you. So let's go. I'm going to go with the underdog for now, Cesar Almeida.
All right, I'm glad you went that way. One. So we would have at least one different pick on this card that I expect us to pick a lot the same on. But 2, I don't think the dude even won any kickboxing fights by knockout. He was winning by decision on all of them. So, hopefully. But once again, the way the judges and everything been going, dude, it's like they aren't really counting control time over strikes landed anyway. So that one will honestly probably be a pretty close fight, dear. It's probably one worthy to be split on. Anyway, up next, am I sharing? I am sharing. We do have Gene Matsumoto taking on Dan, the Determined Argueta, dude. Gene or John Matsumoto is 14-0. Last one on the Contender Series 6 months ago against Casey Tanner, which is a pretty good fighter. Beat him by decision. Dan, the Determined Argueta, is 9-1-0, but 2 no contests in a row, dude, against Miles Johns and Ronnie Lawrence. How terrible of a go do you have for out of your last 5 fights for your last 2 to be no contest, dude? Anyway, currently odds for this are plus 146 for Dan the Determined Argueta and a minus 188 for Gene Matsumoto. Gene is 24 years old, 5'6", and a 68-inch reach, while Dan the Determined Argueta is 30 years old, 5'7", and a 68-inch reach. I'm gonna let you go here first, D-Rose. I'm going the dog, Dan the determined. But I see why a lot of people are on Gene Matsumoto, but I'm gonna go run use the bathroom real quick. So I'm gonna let you go for just a second.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Dan Argueta has burned me personally in the last couple of fights. So I did pick him against Miles John and against Ronnie Lawrence, and I know he had the Ronnie Lawrence result, that wasn't more or less his fault. He basically was about to tap out Ronnie Lawrence, and that's when the ref stepped in, basically called the fight early before Ronnie Lawrence tapped. Then they had to go back and rule it a no contest after Dan Argueta was resulted the win. So I'm not going to hold that against him too much. And I can honestly see why Matt would want to side with Dan Argueta here, because he does have, the more UFC experience. Gene Matsumoto, making his UFC debut, coming out the Contender Series, but just doesn't have that well-rounded experience in the UFC. So, yeah, honestly, I'm feeling that pick too, man, for Dan Argueta. Like I said, it's not that he's looked bad in his last couple of fights. He's just ended up, on the bad end of some bad results there. So yeah, I think Dan Argueta can get it done here if he's able to, weather an early storm and able to stop the takedowns from Matsumoto. But let's go. Yeah, I'm gonna go Dan Argueta here. I think he's going to get it done, and I think he gets it done by decision. So yeah, let's go Dan Argueta there. Man, boys, I ain't gonna lie, this is gonna be a rough fight night, man. As I said, UFC is going to make us earn this, this UFC 300 coming up. Which, hey, I'm rocking the Alex Pereira shirt, so going to be super pumped about that. And yeah, I'm just trying to filibuster right now until Matt can kind of come back and hold the spot down, because I ain't got too much more on Gene Matsumoto and Dan Argueta there. So we can go ahead and move on to the next fight, since Matt had already picked Dan Argueta here. So it sounds like he's kind of coming back in, and I know he's excited to talk about Cynthia Calvillo anyway. So
don't you dare say that. Yeah, I got Dan Argueta here, D-Rose. Well, let me get my thing back on here. I got Dan Argueta here, and I see why Gene Matsumoto is the favorite, because he is very, very clean striking and he's got power. So I think what a lot of people are thinking is that Dan Argueta is just going to find his way into a punch at some point and end up getting knocked out. But I personally think the UFC vet Dan Argueta just going to get down Gene Matsumoto just enough and hand the kid his first loss. Yeah, he is undefeated. So yeah, Dan Argueta via decision. Wrestling again. That's the way I think it's going to go. So me and D-Rose are both on Dan Argueta this week, correct?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Appreciate you holding me down, D-Rose. I had to pee so bad, dude. I was holding it in for so long. I was like, I cannot hold this anymore. I was going to try to make it to the end. But
hey, I was about to jump to the next fight. Hey, I was about to keep this thing moving. So we good.
I know you were so ready to talk about your girl, Cynthia Calvillo, dude.
Unbelievable. How the hell is she still in the UFC? Unbelievable.
Dude, we're going to see this losing streak look like Tony Ferguson losing streak, dude. Anyway, we have Cynthia Calvillo taking on La Fiera Pereira Rodriguez, dude. Look at Cynthia Calvillo's streak out of her last 5, dude. Anyway, Cynthia Calvillo is 9-6-1, and out of her last 5, you'll see she's lost all of them, dude. La Pereira Rodriguez is 9-1 overall. Lost her last fight against Jillian Robertson via submission, but kind of gassed out a little bit, and undefeated. It tends to happen until you lose, dude. Currently, odds for this fight are a minus 148 for Pereira Rodriguez and plus 114 for Cynthia Calvillo. Cynthia Calvillo is 36 years old, 5'4" and a 64-inch reach, while Pereira Rodriguez, 31 years old, 5'3" and a 63-inch reach. This fight is down at 115, D-Rose. So one question is, does Cynthia make the weight this week? And 2, how much bigger is she than Pierre Rodriguez? Because, dude, Jillian Robertson was a lot bigger than Pierre Rodriguez, and I just think that was the issue with that last fight, and I think that's why she lost. Just the size of Jillian, she just couldn't get her down. Her punches weren't affecting her, and then Jillian just does Jillian things and just arm bars people. So, yeah. The other hand, Cynthia Calvillo's got good wrestling, and she is very, very big for 115 if she can make 115. She did last time, and she looked good against Loopy, dude. So I think maybe I'm just giving Cynthia a little bit more credit than what I think I have. She has lost 5 fights in a row, dude, but you look who they're against, it's pretty decent fighters, no one's really a bum. I would say the worst fighter and the worst she looked was against Andrea Lee when she just kind of quit on the stool. That's the absolute worst that she looked. But, dude, coming back down to 115, she looked pretty decent against Loopy in her last fight, and I just worry here, dude. My pick is going to be Pierre Rodriguez, but I already have Pierre Rodriguez in a bet before I really looked into this too much. I'm like, Cynthia Calvillo's barely the dog. Let me bet the other side. And the more I think about this fight, it's down at 115. I'm like, fuck, dude. And I have another bet later on in the card too. Actually, it's up next, and I'm like, fuck, dude. The more I think about it, I'm like, shit, dude, why'd I do that? And I think, these past 2-3 weeks now, I had just made a $35 3-leg, a $50 2-leg, and they've been hitting, dude. So I've just been confident. I put 2 in, and now I'm kind of regretting it, dude. But give me Pierre Rodriguez to defeat Cynthia Calvillo via second round knockout, dude.
I mean, that is interesting, and I pretty much, most of your analysis, I pretty much agree with you on about, especially with Pierre Rodriguez fighting up at 125 against Jillian Robertson, which Jillian Robertson is a lot bigger of a chick, and her ground game sick. So yeah, she, as you said, she arm bars or submits pretty much everyone or gets them down on the ground. Hey, I'm a Tony fan too, but man, that gosh, you hate going up and down that Tapology page of Tony's. But Cynthia Calvillo hadn't fought the absolute killer that Tony has either. So let's say that. But yeah, going back to the fight, I think, gosh, Pierre Rodriguez, she has the better striking. The only thing that does have me just a little bit of slight worry in picking Rodriguez in terms of betting would be her takedown defense. Cynthia Calvillo,
and she just sits there when she gets taken down. She didn't have any defense really. So
yeah. So I mean, Cynthia Calvillo is not the type of wrestler that Jillian Robertson is per se, but that is going to be what Cynthia Calvillo is going to look to do. So, but yeah, I'm not picking Cynthia Calvillo. There's no way I'm picking Cynthia Calvillo to win a fight here. So I'm gonna go Pierre Rodriguez. I'm going to go by decision here. I think Cynthia Calvillo is going to be a lot of clinching and controlling against the fence with her not doing a lot of much. And I think Pierre Rodriguez is going to land enough significant strikes in the round to win each round. And I think she gets a decision win. So let's go Pierre Rodriguez.
All right. So me and D-Rose both on Pierre Rodriguez this week. And I was wrong. It is not the next fight that I had a bet on. Yeah, I don't even see this one. This one even on FanDuel or anything like that. So we do have Pedro Fiasal taking on Victor Striker Hugo. Pedro is 16-3-0, while Victor Hugo is 24-4. Both fighters have won all 5 of their last fights. We saw Pedro, not in tough enough, dude. Yeah, but we did see Victor Hugo on the Contender Series, won via knee bar, and once again, his name is Striker, but I think out of his 24 wins, he has more submissions than he does knockouts. So kind of odd. Anyway, Pedro is 31 years old, 5'6" and a 66-inch reach, while Victor Hugo is 31 years old, 5'7" and a 71-inch reach. Give me Victor Hugo to win via submission, even though he is Victor Striker Hugo. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think because I'm actually looking. So usually you have the Tapology pulled up, and I usually have the ESPN app pulled up, and I'm normally going up and down my phone. I can look at all the fights and stuff. This fight is not even listed on ESPN right now. So yeah, it did kind of catch me by surprise when you was like, oh, this is the next fight. So yeah, let's go Victor Hugo here, just because. Not gonna lie, I did not realize this fight was on the card, and I had no chance to actually look anything up for this fight. So,
all right, so yeah, we don't have odds for that either. So that fight might not even be happening. Still, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, we have one that I'm regretting betting on already. We do have the immortal dump truck driver, Norma Dumont, taking on the Iron Lady, GDR, Germaine de Randamie, dude. Norma Dumont is 10-2 overall out of her last 5 fights. She has only lost 1. It was a split decision against Macy Chiasson up at 145, dude. On the other hand, Germaine de Randamie, we hadn't talked about her in a while, dude. She was pregnant the last time we talked about her, and you had to bring it up on the show. Anyway, she last fought Juliana Pena 3 years and 5 months ago, where she guillotine choked Juliana Pena in her first ever submission win, dude. As crazy as it sounds. Currently, odds for this fight are -170 for Norma Dumont and +132 for Germaine de Randamie. Norma Dumont's 33 years old, 5'7" and a 67-inch reach, while GDR is 39 years old, 5'9", 72-inch reach, and had a baby and hasn't fought in 4 years, dude. The only issue is, even with the time off, I still think GDR is probably the much better striker than even what Norma Dumont could be, dude. You know, GDR is a nasty kickboxer, dude. She is dirty on the feet. And, dude, out of her 4 losses, 2 of those are to Amanda Nunes, and I believe that's the only 2 people she lost to in the UFC at all, man. So, tough fight. I do have a bet. I do have Norma Dumont parlayed up, and I'm scared, dude. Yeah, I'm just going with the narrative of, having a kid and damn near 4 years off now that you are no longer a fighter and that you don't want to fight anymore. So hopefully Norma Dumont can get a few takedowns and just do enough control and damage to defeat Germaine de Randamie. But if this is on the feet, dude, I don't like this fight at all for Norma Dumont, dude. She might get just completely outclassed, but I'm hoping she can get those hands locked and get GDR down, dude. What's your thoughts on this fight? I'm going Norma Dumont via decision.
Yeah, this is an interesting fight because as you stated, man, Germaine de Randamie, dude, she is a potent kickboxer. And if people who do not know, she actually in her kickboxing career has kickboxed men and beaten plenty of men, knocking a few of them out as well. So yeah, she is an absolute dog when it comes to on the feet. And if you remember back in that Amanda Nunes fight, that second one for the title, she was tagging
Amanda wanted
a little bit.
No part of being on the feet, dude. After the first round, straight wrestling, dude.
Yeah, dude. She went straight to the wrestling after she had gotten touched up a little bit by GDR on the feet. So lets me know that everybody's going to have the respect of GDR on the feet. Norma Dumont's looked great in her last couple of fights. And obviously in the Chelsea Chandler fight, she was knocking Chelsea Chandler silly, and had Chelsea Chandler literally trying to run out the octagon. So I think this is a good matchup. But man, I think just going over tougher resume, tougher competition, more proven, I gotta go GDR here, man. I think I am with you that Norma does have a path to victory, and it will be with the wrestling. But Juliana Pena also went to go for the wrestling, and she ended up getting submitted by GDR. Like, I still make a joke about that to this day because I'm like, dude, GDR's takedown defense is so ass, but she submitted Juliana Pena. That's how bad Juliana Pena is. Then Juliana Pena went on to beat Amanda Nunes. So it just flipped my whole
Not
theory
even
on his
beat
head.
Amanda Nunes, just knuckled Amanda up, had her looking like a ghost. Like, what is this?
Yeah, dude, just absolutely crazy. So, but yeah, I'm going GDR here, man. And I think if Norma Dumont gets a little tricky, she could get slept here. But I think it turns into a little bit of a kickboxing match, and I think GDR wins the decision here.
Yeah, this is for sure going to be a close one, another close one. So D Rose on the dog again, the plus 132 dog GDR, and I am on the minus 170 favorite in the immortal Norma Dumont. Yeah, anyway. Whew, scary one, dude. This, come on, baby. Give me the luck that I need. Give me the luck that I need. Pick champ this week. Oh, Jesus, dude. Anyway, so moving on, dude, we do have none other than the old leather boot, Court, the Crusher McGee, taking on the great white Alex Morono, dude. Court McGee, 21-12-0, while the great white Alex Morono, 23-9-0. Out of Court McGee's last 5, he has lost 3 and won 2. Got knocked out 2 times in a row by Matt Brown and Jeremiah Wells, dude. And, just straight punch both times, dude. Alex Morono, on the other hand, was winning. This fight was winning against Santiago Ponzinibbio, and then just got hit with a sub-zero right hand, dude, and froze him on the feet. And then I think he just kind of, I don't know, that was a close decision against Joaquin. He just kept blast double legging and just getting Alex Morono down. Anyway, currently odds for this fight are plus 240 for Court McGee and minus 330 for Alex Morono. Court McGee is 39 years old, 5'11", and a 75-inch reach, while Alex Morono is 33 years old, 5'11", and a 72-inch reach. Yeah, D Rose, I know you love you some Court McGee. I'm gonna let you break this down, but I'm sure we're gonna end up on the same pick. So go for it, brother.
I wouldn't necessarily say love Court McGee. Let's just say that
I
show him respect for being
like you treat him the same as Brian Barberina. They're both tough guys that you have respect for.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and Court McGee, he's always a tough fight, man. And I normally, besides the Jeremiah Wells fight, I normally call his fights wrong every time. Every time I think he's going to lose, he wins. Every time I think he's going to win, he loses. So I can't seem to get that part right for him. But man, I just think at this point he's just a little bit more. Obviously, longer schedule, but he's just gone through a lot of wars. Get, like you said, brutally knocked out his last few fights. And Alex Morono, man, he's a guy who you look at him and he doesn't look that athletic. He doesn't look like he's that intimidating. Yeah, dude, expired milk at that. He is a sight for sore eyes, to say the least. And it's pacey as hell. But the dude is a good fighter, man. I got to give him credit. He's a good fighter, pacey as hell or night. And he trains in Texas too, so it don't make no sense that you train at Fortis and you're as pale as you are. But yeah, I'm definitely going to go Alex Morono here. Just think he's just a little bit more well-rounded, cleaner boxing. I think he might even have an advantage in the wrestling at this point as well. And I'm probably going to end up playing Alex Morono in a couple of bets this weekend. And I think Alex Morono gets it done here. Couple different ways, but I think in this way, I think he just goes by decision. I just think he outboxes him for 3 rounds.
Same, man. I think your safest play this week is Alex Morono moneyline minus 330. Solid parlay piece. I wouldn't try to get too fancy with it because he could end up knocking Court McGee out because Court McGee's old dude, and Alex Morono does have a little thud in his punches. We saw him drop a few people now, so
or he can submit Court McGee too, because Morono does have a nasty guillotine. So if Court McGee goes in for a takedown, he very well could snatch up that neck and submit Court McGee too. So I am with you in terms of not getting too cute with that method of victory. Just play the money line. You should be safe.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Alex Morono, solid parlay piece this weekend. So up next, dude, we do have Trevor Peek, baby. It is Trevor Peek fight week, and he is going to be taking on the cannibal, Charlie Campbell, dude. Trevor Peek, 9-1 overall. Only loss was the Chepe Machine Gun Mariscal in the UFC, dude. While Charlie Campbell, he is 8-2 overall. Last loss was the Chris Duncan on the Contender Series after
mollywopping Chris Duncan, and then Chris Duncan just drops one punch on him and hits the off button and just snoozes Charlie Campbell. Since then, he has fought outside the UFC, and then in the UFC, I believe it was the Nashville card where he I think it was the Noche card when he snoozed Alex Reyes, but Alex Reyes is not a good fighter and has a terrible chin. So anyway, with that being said, currently odds for this fight are plus 164 for Tennessee's own Trevor Peek. And then Charlie Campbell is minus 215, your favorite. So Trevor Peek is from Chattanooga, Tennessee, 29 years old, 5'9", and a 79-inch reach, while Charlie Campbell is 28 years old, 6 foot, and a 72-inch reach. Trains out of Sarah Weidman, or Longo Weidman MMA as well, D-Rose. You know which way I'm going here. I'm going to let you break this one down first, brother.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a fun fight. And I think for Charlie Campbell, we know he comes in with a wild style, good boxing. And he's going to be looking for the home run shot. He does not go in there to mess around. As you said, he knocked out Alex Reyes in his last fight. And Alex Reyes is a little chinny, but hey, man, I'll give Charlie Campbell this. He will go in there, and he is kill or be killed. You go back and watch that Chris Duncan fight in the Contender Series, and, yeah, he ended up losing that fight. But, dude, he had Chris Duncan in all kinds of trouble and was going for the finish and just ended up getting caught in an exchange. I think in the Alex Reyes fight, he just looks a little bit cleaner and looked a little bit more poised and kind of ready. And he took that fight on short notice as well. So I think coming into this fight against Trevor Peek, a wild man. I know one of your favorites to watch. He's always in a barn burner, win, lose, or draw. But I just think he's just his technique's just a little bit more sloppy. And I think, he throws a lot of straight punches or the straight arm punches where I think, Charlie Campbell does have a little bit of crisp boxing to him. And, man, I think Charlie Campbell can actually get the KO here. I'm going to go Charlie Campbell by KO. I think Trevor Peek, he gets hit just a little bit too much for my liking. Chepe lit him up a bunch in that fight. He just ended up, not having the power. I think being a 45er coming up. But I think Charlie Campbell being a full-on 155er, someone who packs a punch, and Trevor Peek, who loves to take a punch, I think he walks into a shot, man. I think Charlie Campbell knocks him out. So let's go Charlie Campbell here.
As I expected, D-Rose. And I want to start off the breakdown with throwing this out there, letting you guys know that I am completely biased when it comes to this because I did meet Trevor Peek in Nashville. He did look dapper in a suit and a T-shirt with a hat. But, the wild man Trevor Peek didn't really show up last time against Muhammad Yahya, dude. He was a little bit more composed in his last fight. And hopefully he doesn't do that in this fight because I need the wild man Trevor Peek in this fight because, as you said, Charlie Campbell comes forward like a wild man. And in that Chris Duncan fight, he was lighting Chris Duncan up. But I think something that you point out quite often that is what I'm going to point out right now, dude. When he feels like he has someone hurt, dude, he likes to rush in. And I guess someone I can point to is like Christian Quinones, dude. He rushes in for the kill, dude, and just leaves his hands down and just throwing, dude. And personally, I think what you say might happen, D-Rose. He might stumble Trevor Peek. He might get him wobbling around a little bit, go in for the shot, and then the last thing he sees is this fist and then this. Lights out. Tennessee's own Trevor Peek, baby, knocks out Charlie Campbell while rushing in with the fucking hammer, baby. I can smell fear as easy as I can smell barbecue, baby. Peek Nation, stand up. Chattanooga, Tennessee. Let's go, Trevor Peek. Second round knockout over Charlie Campbell. That's how I'm calling it. Dropping one of those fucking hammers on him. That is a different pick, and I called it this week. Oh, good.
Yeah, I think we knew that from the once we saw this fight was on the card. I think we kind of knew from there that was going to be a pretty easy one that we were going to pick different on.
Yeah, I do love me some Trevor Peek, dude. So fun, dude. And as I said earlier in the show, dude, how blessed are we to have back-to-back weeks where we get Nate the Train and then Trevor Peak, dude. Tennessee, stand up. You guys got some fighters, fun fighters at that. Yeah, so get our next one pulled up here. We do have one that I'm not really as interested in, dude. We do have Lucas Stretsky taking on the little brother of Johnny Walker, Walter Walker, the clean monster, Walter Walker. If you've seen this dude, he doesn't look very clean, D-Rose. Anyway, he's going to be taking on the bull, Lucas Stretsky. Anyway, Lucas Stretsky is 8-4-1 overall. Hasn't had the best run in the UFC. No contest on the Contender Series against Dylan Potter. Lost to Martin Boudet. Close fight, I guess. Lost to Carl Williams. Just got wrestled for all 3 rounds, dude. But that's what Carl Williams does. And then got knocked out by Waldo Cortez, but Waldo's got that jab on him, dude. So anyway, Walter Walker, on the other hand, is 11-0. Hasn't even fought on the Contender Series because I don't think he would have won on the Contender Series. I'm just going to put it like that. Anyway, currently odds for this fight are minus 295 for Walter Walker and plus 220 for Lucas Stretsky. Yeah, interesting, dude. 31 years old for Lucas Stretsky, 6'4" and a 78-inch reach. While Walter Walker is 26 years old, 6'6" and an 81.5-inch reach, D-Rose. Be honest with me for a second. Have you seen Walter Walker at all fight, D-Rose?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I'm just gonna task you with, after the podcast, just go check him out, dude. What I can describe him as is a heavyweight, slow, like a mixture between Bob Sapp and Wanderlei Silva, dude. His hands are like at his hips, dude, and he's like it just looks terrible, dude. If he gets on top of you, it's a problem. He has some solid ground and pound, dude. But dude, I am gonna go with the UFC vet on a 3-fight losing streak that I know has solid wrestling and enough gas to at least get to the end of the fight, dude. So at plus 220, give me Lucas Stretsky to win this fight against Walter Walker via decision, dude. That's the way I'm going here this week. How about you, man?
Yeah, I have not seen Walter Walker fight, but I have seen Lucas Stretsky fight. Unfortunately, he, as you said, has gotten the short end of the stick in a couple of his fights, and not that he's had he has had an easy schedule. Carl Williams, Waldo Cortez Acosta, 2 guys in the UFC who are pretty tough, but I almost feel like Lucas Stretsky is kind of getting served up to this point as was kind of being like that. You need someone in the UFC who can kind of get knocked out for somebody to help make a debut. And Lucas Stretsky's kind of like that perfect matchup for Walter Walker here. Again, coming from no knowledge of prior from Walter Walker, just from what I know from Lucas Stretsky, I think Walter Walker can get a knockout here. But in terms of betting, not getting an inch. I am not getting within 10 inches. I'm not getting within 10 yards. I'm not getting within 10 miles of betting on this fight at all. I'm not betting. I'm not touching this fight whatsoever because I don't feel comfortable with it at all. And I can tell you right now, it's not going into pick champ at all. I don't even trust that. I don't care about the odds. I do not trust it.
I will probably have a taste. Oh, we already have props, D-Rose. Lucas Stretsky by points is plus 600 on FanDuel right now. I'll probably have a taste of that this weekend. I might throw a 10 at it. Win 70, dude. That ain't bad. Anyway.
No, not terrible for somebody who's honestly projected to lose pretty bad.
Anyway, so me and D-Rose are split there. D-Rose on Walter Walker. I am on Lucas Stretsky. Anyway, moving on to the next fight, we do have Ignacio La Jaula Bahamundes taking on the Spartan Christos Giagos. Anyway, Ignacio Bahamondes is 14-5 overall. Lost 2 of his last 5. One against Ludovic Klein, and then John Makdessi split decision in his UFC debut. On the other hand, Christos Giagos 20-11 overall. Lost 3 of his last 5. Last Daniel Zellhuber via anaconda choke. Ricky Glenn, he knocked out Ricky Glenn about a year ago, and then Thiago Moises fought 2 years ago, submitted by Thiago Moises and knocked out by Arman Saryukin 2.5 years ago. Anyway, currently odds for this fight are -350 for Ignacio Bahamondes and +255 for Christos Giagos. Ignacio is 26 years old, 6'3" and 75-inch reach, while Christos Giagos is 34 years old, 5'10" and a 71-inch reach. Would you like to go here, D Rose, or do you want me to go, brother?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can take it from here.
All right.
Yeah, because I think it's a pretty interesting fight. I think, Bahamondes, even he's had a couple up and down performances. I think if you look at Makdessi and Ludovic Klein in terms of their body type, shorter guys knowing how to kind of crowd the space of Ignacio Bahamondes, got the wrestling, short, stout, strong guys. And you could say Christos Giagos kind of fits that bill a little bit in terms of the build. He's going to be a little bit bigger than those two, Makdessi and Ludovic Klein. But I think for Giagos, he's got good takedowns and he can use them. But he's not necessarily the best takedown artist. And I think that's where, he set himself up in the Zellhuber fight before he ended up getting submitted. I think this is a, kind of a similar body type that I think Christos Giagos ultimately struggles with. And I think that, Ignacio Bahamondes, good striker, good from range. We obviously know the kicks. We've seen the highlights against Roosevelt Robert and others. So, yeah, I think Ignacio Bahamondes gets it done. And I actually think he gets a knockout here. Christos Giagos is known for being on the other end of a finish. So, let's go Ignacio Bahamondes by knockout here.
I'm not too far off from you, D Rose. I think he hurts him, and then Christos Giagos tries to shoot in on him, and we get a Ignacio Bahamondes front choke, dude. It wouldn't surprise me because when Christos Giagos gets hurt, dude, he loves to shoot in, dude. And Ignacio's got a few subs on his record. It wouldn't surprise me if we get some type of club and sub. So what's Ignacio Bahamondes via submission right now? That might be a sneaky play. Ignacio via submission +430. Ignacio via knockout +170. So I'd be more willing to take a little taste at the +430 Ignacio submission. What's the round props? Ignacio submission. Ignacio submission.
I do a knockout round prop.
Ignacio sub 1-2 550. Sub 2-3 is +950. Oh, that's a
2-3
big money. Some big money. Anyway, me and D Rose both on La Jaula, Ignacio Bahamondes. See if we have a different pick here, D Rose, because I refuse to pick Chepe Machine Gun Mariscal in every single one of his fights, and I'm not going to do it here either. But let's get into it. We have the last pirate, Morgan Charrier, 19-9-1 overall, won 4 of his last 5, but won his UFC debut against. It was this other French dude in France. I'm not even going to try to say it. Anyway, Chepe Mariscal is 15-6 overall. He has had 2 UFC fights now, one against Trevor Peek and one against Jack Jenkins, dude. And Trevor Peek fight, all right, cool. He won that fight. Jack Jenkins fight, I was a little bit of a fluke in the way the takedown and the arm break happened. I don't know how I feel about it. I still really don't know how good Chepe is, especially down at 145. So with that being said, currently odds for this fight are -102 for Chepe Mariscal, -125 for Morgan Charrier. Morgan Charrier is 28 years old, 5'8" and a 69-inch reach, while Chepe Machine Gun Mariscal is 31 years old, 5'7" and a 69-inch reach. D-Rose, give me Morgan Charrier to knock out Chepe Mariscal with a body kick, dude. Those body kicks that he throws are disgusting, dude. And I don't, dude. It really reminds me of fucking Benoit Saint Denis. So until we see this dude fight someone that's, maybe higher ranks at 145. I think he might just run through these lower level featherweights, dude. So give me Morgan Charrier to knock out Machine Gun Chepe Mariscal, dude. Which way are you going here, brother?
Yeah, I mean, so I'll just tell you, I am going to go Chepe. I like Chepe, man. I think he's gritty. He's got good boxing. He's got pretty good takedowns. He's a pretty well-rounded fighter for the most part. And I thought, he was able to kind of display his well-roundedness against Jack Jenkins before. Obviously it was an unfortunate arm break, and I thought the fight was close. But I did think that Chepe was kind of winning those exchanges on the feet. Even though Jack Jenkins, he was landing those leg kicks. But I think in the boxing, I thought Chepe was clearly winning, and I thought he was able to use enough pressure. I think for Charrier, obviously a potent striker. Man, those Cage Warriors guys, man, they tend to not have the best of takedown defense. I haven't seen enough of Charrier yet as far as his takedown defense goes, and I think, I think Chepe ends up putting on, I don't want to say a wrestling clinic here, but I think he basically gets inside, makes the fight dirty, kind of similar to how he did with Trevor Peek, kind of smother Trevor Peek in the pocket with short hooks and combos, use a little bit of the wrestling there, use a little bit of his pressure, and I think Chepe gets a decision win here. And if you go back on Chepe's record, like, dude, he hasn't been in the UFC for a long time, but, dude, on his record, I mean, he's got wins over guys like Yusuf Zalal. He's fought Bryce Mitchell. He's fought Joe Anderson Brito, Steven Garcia. So he's fought guys like this before even coming into the UFC, and these are guys who we know who are good UFC fighters now. So Chepe's got kind of the body of work to say that he's fought guys in the UFC before, and this is, kind of nothing new to him. So I think Chepe gets it done by decision.
All right, so me and D-Rose split on this one. D-Rose on Chepe Machine Gun Mariscal, and I am on the last Pirate in Morgan Charrier. So up next, we do have a co-main event of the evening. Terrible co-main event, if you ask me. The Great Ape, Alexander Hernandez, taking on the Leech or Action, Damon Jackson, whichever one he is going to go by this week. Currently, odds for this fight are minus 210 for Alexander Hernandez and plus 162 for Damon Jackson. Alexander Hernandez, 14-7 overall, lost 3 of his last 5. Last lost to Bill Algeo via decision. But did beat Jim Miller via decision, and he did have a little break in between there. Billy Q lost, and then this was up at 155, Hanato Moicano 2 years ago. So this is down at 145. On the other hand, Damon Jackson lost 2 of his last 5 against Billy Q as well, and got knocked out clean by Dan Ige, dude. Anyway, and then Pat Sabatini. I don't think anyone would have beat Damon Jackson that night. Just knocked out Pat Sabatini with a front kick out of hell, dude. Alexander Hernandez, 31 years old, 5'9" and a 72-inch reach, while Damon Jackson is 35 years old, 5'11" and a 71-inch reach. I'm going to keep this short, dude. Give me Alexander Hernandez to knock out Damon Jackson in the first round, dude. Which way are you going here?
Alexander Hernandez tends to start fast, and that's where you can jump on Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson almost kind of builds as the fight goes. No. So, 100%. We know you're a Damon Jackson guy by heart, but yeah, I am with you here. Damon Jackson can get clipped. We've seen him. He's been on the bad end of some highlight reel knockouts.
Dude, the Ilya one.
Ilya won, and dude, if you actually go back, he actually had one of the viral knockouts in PFL when he goes to shoot in on the guy within the first 15 seconds of the fight, and he
eats a flying knee.
So dude, Damon Jackson has been on the
and then he's just and then just just looks at him and then walks off.
Dude, brutal knockouts, and I think Alexander Hernandez, if there's one thing he can do, he starts fast and he has power. So I think
he's gonna come out fake glove touch and then fucking blast Damon Jackson like he did Vinny D.
Yeah, that's still such a dork move. I'm still, just because you mentioned that, because two of my favorites to watch, Benny D and then also Cowboy Cerrone. Man, dude, you have no idea how just absolutely pumped I was when Cowboy served him the biggest slice of humble pie that kid could ever eat, dude. That I still get goosebumps watching the highlight of him head kicking Alexander Hernandez. So, but yeah, let's go Hernandez here by knockout.
All right, fair enough. Me and D-Rose are both on the great ape, Alexander Hernandez. Anyway, are they advertising special needs martial arts on our screen? Anyway. All right. We have, I guess they know what Tapology thinks of me. Anyway, with that being said, we have Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis, number 2. Brendan, all in Allen is 23-5 overall, while the action man Chris Curtis is 31-10 overall. Brendan Allen has won all 5 of his last 5, while Chris Curtis's last 5 looks like a win, a no contest, a loss, a win, and a loss, dude. Currently odds for this fight, even though they last fought and Chris Curtis knocked out Brendan Allen, wasn't even that long ago, dude. When was it?
21, I believe.
Yeah, so I guess that's 3 years ago, dude. But anyway, Brendan Allen minus 215 favorite and Chris Curtis plus 164. The dog, dude. Brendan Allen, 28 years old, 6'2" and a 75-inch reach, while Chris Curtis is 36 years old, 5'10" and a 75-inch reach. D-Rose, when this fight first happened the first time, I believe we had just started the podcast, and I was like, dude, I love Brendan Allen. Watched him on the Contender Series. I'm like, dude, this dude's good as shit. He at some point he's going to be top 5, dude. And then you picked Chris Curtis against him, and you're like, dude, I think he might knock him out, dude. And then that's what happened, dude. That is what happened. So, yeah, it scares me again, but I'm going with Brendan Allen again, dude. And I think in that last fight, he was winning every moment of that fight until just the defense just lacked just a little bit, and Chris Curtis just dropped one of the hooks on him, dude. So if Brendan Allen can stay safe this week, keep his defense up, give me Brendan Allen to win this fight via submission, dude. I think he finishes Chris Curtis. If he can get him down, he finishes Chris Curtis. Getting him down might be the tough part. So on the feet, this is going to be a peach hole lemon, as me and D-Rose like to call. But yeah, give me Brendan Allen to win this fight, man. Oh, yeah, scary as it is. Which way are you going here, man?
Yeah, it is. It's a little scary to think, and so looking back on it now, it was in December 21, and Chris Curtis did take that fight on short notice. So he had taken the fight against Phil Halt on November 6th at MSG and turned around on December 4th. So not even a full month later, and ended up turning that knockout against Brendan Allen. And that's when Chris Curtis, I was really kind of like, man, I actually ended up forgetting that this is the damn rematch. How did I end up forgetting? Even after going back and looking at it, how did I forget the 2, man? That's thanks, Lush, for getting me on that, dude. I didn't even think about it. 2. But yeah, if you go back, man, Chris Curtis had a little bit of momentum coming in, and for me at that point in time, Brendan Allen, he had flaws in his game, and I think Sean Strickland, for me, and obviously we see how good of a fighter Sean Strickland is now. But knowing that Strickland and Curtis trained with one another and knowing how Brendan Allen defensively, the dude could leave his head right on the center line a lot of times, man. If you can get Brendan Allen sucked into a brawl, you can very well land a big counter and get him out of there. And I say even in Brendan Allen's not his last fight, but when you go back to the Bruno Silva fight, Bruno Silva was tagging him up a little bit in that first round. So it would make you worry a little bit going into this fight, knowing that Chris Curtis has already knocked him out before, to pick Brendan Allen, going into this fight, knowing that he's been knocked out from Chris Curtis. But man, I'm actually with you. I think Brendan Allen has, since that loss, I mean, yeah, it's Sam Alvey, but he's got a win against Jacob Malkoon, submission win against Krzysztof Jotko, who's hard to submit, got a submission win against Andre Muniz, submission win against Bruno Silva, submission against Paul Craig. I think in all those fights, all those fighters presented a little bit of danger. Andre Muniz, power in the hands. Bruno Silva, power in the hands. Obviously, Paul Craig with the submission skills. And I think Brendan Allen has passed the test there and has not taken the damage that he normally does in trying to trade and exchange. He's the bigger guy than Chris Curtis. And I think he uses his frame and his wrestling here a lot more. I don't think he finishes Chris Curtis. I do think Chris Curtis is a little bit too tough to be submitted. His wrestling defense and his jiu-jitsu defense is really good just in terms of defending submissions. But I think Brandon Allen uses his wrestling a lot in this main event. Might be a little bit of a slower main event, boys. We might be a little bit drained by the end of the fight night, but yeah, I think
It's an early one though. It should be over like 10. Like you should have the rest of your Saturday night.
Yeah, no, hopefully anyway. But yeah, I think Brandon Allen gets it done here. I think he uses more of his wrestling in this time around, and yeah, I think he gets it done. Let's say by decision. But yeah, I think Brandon Allen gets it done.
All right, me and D Rose are both on. All in Brendan Allen to defeat the Action Man Chris Curtis, which surprises me, D Rose, because I know that's your guy, man. That's your guy. Anyway, yeah, here we go. We got the loyal Lush Lomane helping us out here, where we have 5 different picks this week, D Rose. So, Pick Champ is here. You get to pick 3 different ones to try to win this beautiful shiny belt and to get me to have to eat the Bean Boozled next week. But in reality, what's going to happen is this is staying right here, and you're going to be eating stinky socks and vomit next week. So with that being said, here's our 5 different picks. Dylan Budka versus Cesar Almeida. We have the dumb truck driver versus Randomy. We have Trevor Peak, Tennessee's own, baby. Stand up. He's going to be taking on Charlie Campbell. Lucas Dretsky versus Walter Walker. Morgan Charrier versus Chepe Mariscal. Anyway, probably should have told you what we're going, but once D-Rose decided which fights we're going to go on, I'll let you know which way we are going. So, D-Rose, the floor is yours, dude. Which ones would you like to lose the pick champ on this week, brother?
I see you feeling yourself a little bit, so we're gonna have
to
try
man,
to
I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll, baby. You can call me Butter.
Yeah, we're gonna have to knock you down a notch. You feeling it a little bit too much this week. So let's go Chepe and Charrier. I think that's I think this one Chepe can win.
Super closely lined fight. Yeah, super close. That is
Chepe's a little bit of a dog, but
minus 102, minus 125, so about even. All right.
So then let's go Trevor Peak and Charlie Campbell.
Okay.
And then so that's where I'm tending to struggle a little bit. Even I just said I don't want to do Dresky versus Walker in the pick champ, but damn.
Do you want to go Jermaine Durand to me 4 years off and having a baby?
That's what worries me about picking GDR. I think she's going to win, but man, there's just a lot of variables going into that. And man, I'm not gonna lie, Budka and Almeida, I don't have any hope for that at all. So, oh gosh, yeah, I guess let's go Lucas Drusky and freaking Walker, dude.
All right, so it is set.
Not feeling good about it either.
3 different picks for this weekend for the pick champ and Bean Boozled going down the gullet. Our 3 different picks this week are Trevor Peak, where I am going Trevor Peak, and D Rose is going Charlie Campbell. Our second different pick is Lucas Dretsky versus Walter Walker, where I am going Lucas Dretsky and D Rose going Walter Walker. And the last and final pick for possibly 3 beans going down D Rose's gullet for the clean sweep is the last pirate, Morgan Charrier. I'm on the last pirate. D Rose is on Chepe Machine Gun Mariscal for our 3 different peaks. I was looking at Trevor Peak right there. 3 different picks this weekend. Peak's gonna get the pick champ right for me, though. It is what it is. So once again, Trevor Peak, Charlie Campbell, Lucas Dretsky, Walter Walker, and Charrier versus Mariscal. So the last 3, so 3, 4, 5 there, right? Yeah, so I'll take a screenshot of that and just mark out the first 2. And shout out Lush Lomane for always keeping track of us, dude. And D Rose, right before we end this, D Rose, we have finished the first quarter of the year of UFC fights, dude. The first 3 months of the year are down. And, it's been a good first 3 months of the year. I don't feel like our picks have been awful. I feel like we both are definitely plus. Like, we have gotten more fights right than we've gotten wrong. And, in the fight game where it's 50-50 pretty much every time someone steps in that cage, dude, someone can get knocked out. If you're right most of the time, dude, not too bad. Not too bad. So give myself a little pat on the back. And you should as well, D-Rose, because I know you have gotten quite a few fights right this year as well. I believe you're still probably ahead of me of a few, probably less than 10 now. That's what I would say. Because last time Lush told us it was like, I think you were like 15 or so, but it's been a few weeks since then. But
I think I was like 12 over 500, but yeah, there could be a chance I'm knocked down a little bit of a peg since the last few weeks hadn't gone my way, but we gonna get it right though.
Indeed. And Gavin Herbo wanted to know Whitaker or Kamzat. Still a long way away, but off the jump, I have to go Kamzat. What about you, D-Rose?
Man, early leanings, of course, we can always change our mind when the fight gets a little bit closer, but man, I think I'm leaning Whitaker early. I think I like I like Whitaker over 5 rounds, so.
All right. Look, and Lush already has it here ready to go. Pick stats. Matt, 79 wins, 55 losses, 3 draws. D-Rose, 88 wins, 46 losses, 3 draws. Yes, I was close, D-Rose. Looks like you are 9 fights ahead of me. Right. Yeah. 9 fights ahead of me right now, D-Rose. So, catching up, my guy, catching up. But hey, we're still doing both pretty well, though. More than positive, I'm proud of. I don't feel awful about giving you guys terrible picks here every single week. But are we going to win every one of them? Absolutely not. That's just not going to happen. But with that being said, we truly appreciate all you guys for, hanging out with us here tonight. Need Rob Wynn, got a fat PC. Yeah, my girlfriend has a lot of Robert Whitaker cards because I just give them to her. That's one of her favorite fighters. Yeah. So with that being said, that's going to be everything we have here for the show. We appreciate all you guys for stopping by, hanging out with you boys here tonight. My name is Matt D. Rose on that side of the screen. Do you have anything before we get out of here, my guy?
No, man. It's again, we're just gonna have to sludge through the weekend, boys, and we got one more weekend, and UFC 300 is next week. So we just gotta buckle down, get through this weekend, and we're gonna have a badass night of fights come next week. So, but hey, let's not forget about the fights this weekend either, because
he says, Matt, you're reading Clint. Oh, that's not good because I listen to Clint every week, but I only bet with the reads that I agree with him on, because sometimes I'm like, Clint, that's not happening, brother. That's not happening. Like last week, dude, he bet, I believe, $500 or $700 on Cedric Dumas to beat Nursultan Rizabov, dude. And I was just like, oh, Clint, dude,
obviously
that hurts.
That
hurts my heart, dude. I can't believe you did that, brother. But yeah, hey, man, people have their reads. I'm not going to tell people that, don't do it. If you feel strong enough about it, hey, man, maybe you see something that I don't see. Yeah. We got Riley saying, cheers, boys. Appreciate you stopping by tonight, Riley. Yeah. So with that being said, D-Rose, we don't have anything else for the podcast. I hope you guys all enjoyed the UFC Atlantic City fight vlog. That was a blast. If you guys didn't watch it, go back and check that out. But your boy will be here Friday for Change of Cheddar. I'm probably going to do a card video tomorrow, so it'll be uploaded at some point, either late tomorrow night, Friday or Saturday, one of the two. So expect the card video out in the next few days. As I said, Change of Cheddar Friday, and then we'll be back here with the Monday recap on Monday, and next week is UFC 300. So big week. I've got a special guest planned. Got somebody locked down for Change of Cheddar for UFC 300. But D-Rose, feel free to stop by as well. Might have a triple threat here for Change of Cheddar on UFC 300. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah. So yeah, with that being said, I appreciate all y'all for stopping by, hanging out with us here tonight. Once again, my name is Matt D-Rose, that side of the screen. This has been the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast, and we will catch y'all next week. Peace.